Everybody knows and loves the 2000s two-door drop tops such as the Miata, the S2000, Mustang, 911 Carrera, and the PT Cruiser. These fun cars have become speedy remnants of a bygone era, but there have been some roadsters that have slipped through the cracks and have been largely forgotten. The first and oldest of which, the Plymouth Prowler. The Prowler was introduced to the market in 1997 and ceased production in 2002, with only 11,702 ever being built, making this a rare gem. It had a 3.5-liter V6 paired with a 4-speed automatic, producing 253 horsepower and 255 foot-pounds of torque, all coming out of a 2,600-pound car. It could go 0 to 60 in 7 seconds flat with a top speed of 126. The Prowler was the first rear-wheel drive car produced by Plymouth since 1989. It might be hard to look at for most people today, but back then the retro styling would have been revolutionary. People who bought this car really loved it too, maintaining a 4.8 score on Kelley Blue Book, with 98% of people recommending this car. They've also maintained value astonishingly well. Even today, it is almost impossible to find one of these cars for less than $30,000. Of course, being a Chrysler, there are some quirks, such as only having one cup holder, and due to limited trunk space, a trailer could be ordered for $5,000 with matching paint. But beware, because towing anything but the Prowler trailer would void the warranty. In 1998, one 1997 Prowler was sealed in a mausoleum as a time capsule in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So be ready in 2048 when they crack it open. All good things have to come to an end eventually, though. Following the discontinuation of Plymouth in 2001, all Prowlers built after were marketed as Chrysler. The 2000 model year was the last Plymouth ever sold in Canada. The last ever Prowler rolled out of the production line on February 15, 2002. 2 years later, the Chrysler Crossfire came out to fill the niche. The Crossfire was designed to, quote, evoke a strong, passionate, emotional response. We had to retain that. We want to polarize our audience. We want people to love it or hate it. And they did, considering that this is something you either love or you hate. Sporting a Mercedes 3.2 V6 paired with a 6-speed manual with an optional 5-speed automatic. It could produce 215 horsepower and 229 foot-pounds of torque. They could reach 60 in 6.4 seconds. Starting in 2005, it could be offered with a supercharger as part of the SRT6 line, where it could produce 330 horsepower with 310 foot-pounds of torque. That could take it 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. Their production was more numerous than the Prowler sevenfold, with 76,000 units ever being made. The Crossfire was also made in a right-hand drive configuration for British markets. Underneath all of the Chrysler crap is essentially a Mercedes SLK, based on the R170 platform, which the Chrysler owes its handling characteristics to. Chrysler claimed that the Crossfire shared only 39% of its parts with the SLK 320, but according to Car and Driver, it feels like a lot more than that. The last Crossfire produced was on the 17th of December 2007, finally ending the Crossfire run. My perception of the Crossfire has been dashed by only seeing 2 in my entire life, both owned by the same individual, one of them being black with spray-painted gold wheels, a Forza era looking wing, and a huge 007 sticker on the back window. One final thing of note is that on the Wikipedia article for Spoiler, there's a picture of a Chrysler Crossfire. Over at GM, they were also cooking up a lot of cool stuff. The first of which was by their luxury brand Cadillac. They took the chassis from the Chevy Corvette and dropped a sleek and stylish Cadillac body onto it, upholstered with premium gray leather and wood accents, complemented by the retractable hardtop that folds away with the click of a button. The XLR was built to compete with foreign rivals like the Mercedes SL, which had been selling like hotcakes for many years at that point. And in 2001, the first one was built, sporting Cadillac's infamous North Star V8 pushing 320 horsepower and 310 foot-pounds of torque out of a 4.6-liter engine that could push the XLR 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. It was quite pricey, with the base model coming in at $87,000, with the XLR-V coming in at $106,000. The XLR-V was the top-of-the-line sports trim featuring a supercharged North Star producing 443 horsepower. Despite the luxury image, it could hold the road surprisingly well due to the rigid Corvette chassis. It even had keyless ignition, a DVD player, digital heads-up display, and heated seats standard. People, however, were not impressed with the XLR when it hit showrooms in 2001, with only 3,665 sold in the first year, while the competitor, the Mercedes SL, had never dipped below 4,000 units. The Caddy's issues began in the engine bay. Many problems that plagued the North Star ruined this car. Potential buyers were swayed away to the high cost of entry and the tight interior. People were critical of GM's choice in engine, with many hoping for an LS3-powered XLR. After dwindling sales, Cadillac pulled the plug in 2009, and the last 13 were sold out of Cadillac showrooms in 2011, with a total of 15,460 ever made, making this a rare piece of Cadillac history. Throughout the 2000s, GM's other brands were hard at work as well. In 2002, GM unveiled the Pontiac Solstice concept to the world. The concept was well received, but to bring the Solstice to market, they needed a chassis for it. For this, GM would create the Kappa platform, a subcompact, lightweight rear-wheel drive chassis, first unveiled by way of 3 concept cars at the 2004 North American International Auto Show: the Chevy Nomad concept, the Saturn Curve concept, and the Vauxhall VX Lightning concept. All 3 were well received, but none of them received the same amount of praise as the original Solstice concept. The Kappa was first put to real use in the 2006 model year of the Pontiac Solstice. The Solstice was powered by GM's then new 2.4-liter 16-valve Ecotec inline 4, pushing a respectable 173 horsepower and 163 pounds of torque. That could be mated to a 4-speed automatic, but a 5-speed manual was available. Its biggest issue was said to be the wide spacing between gears. The turbocharged 2-liter GXP was more enjoyable to drive. Despite the decrease in displacement, it was able to achieve 260 horsepower. Both configurations, the Solstice was fairly nimble when it came to handling, but it was a difficult car to live with, as it had a rough ride, very little trunk space, and a sparse interior. The Solstice and its brother, the Saturn Sky, were recalled 4 times by the NHTSA, once for a faulty ignition switch, and most frighteningly, for an issue that caused the passenger airbag not to deploy. Something of note is that it had a cup holder between the headrests. Overall, it was for a car enthusiast who only cared for performance. In every other aspect, the Solstice was unremarkable at best, but far from good everywhere else. The Saturn Sky was the second car to use the Kappa platform, powered by the same engines as the Pontiac Solstice and Solstice GXP, but could generate slightly more horsepower. The 2.4 made 177, while the turbocharged 2-liter Redline remained at 260. Overall, the Sky was just a more geometric and slightly more refined version of the Solstice, with more standard equipment such as air conditioning, anti-lock brakes, cruise control, and power windows. The Sky shared many of the handling characteristics with the Solstice, with both of them having a 52-48 weight distribution. Yet people seem to prefer the handling of the Sky more than that of the Pontiac. The Sky's styling was better received than that of the Solstice, with news outlets at the time gushing over its distinctive masculine head-turning body, dashed only by its tight interior. People complained about the Sky's gearing being out of whack, with first gear being way too high and the car needing a 6th gear. Both Kappas had a roof that could fold down into the trunk, leaving very little room in there. In Korean markets, the Sky was offered as the Daewoo G2X, which didn't change anything except for the name. Production of both Kappas ended in 2009, along with the demise of Pontiac and Saturn. The Kappa platform also created the Spanish Taro V8 Spider, powered by the 2.6-liter LS3, producing 440 horsepower. But Taro was willing to supercharge it along with other performance parts on demand for a maximum of 600 horsepower. The production run is extremely limited and costing $125,000 apiece. Overall, this is objectively the best car covered today, and of course, it's not even American. One might be wondering why these open-top Roadsters went away. We may look to the 2008 recession. When the stock market crashed, so did the demand for fun cars. Some might even say that we've never really recovered from that, as I can't even think of a replacement for any of these cars. We will never get another Saturn Sky, Pontiac Solstice, or Plymouth Prowler ever again. But we should be glad that this happened at all, not sad that it ended. We can always look back to remember a time when the future seemed bright, when you could put the top down and drive off into the sunset.